Right. I'm from City College of San Francisco, so I want to thank the Freedom Socialist Party in Los Angeles for inviting me to come and speak to you today about the struggle we've been going through in San Francisco, and I want to link it to the struggle of teachers in Mexico and talk a little bit about how our party is building relations with a group in Mexico where we know a lot of the teachers from Oaxaca. So anyway, so I will begin, and I'm sure I look forward to some good discussion after this with you all. So just to start, the trend over the last 30 years, I'm sure a lot of you know, has been corporate globalization, deregulation, free trade, and privatization of public resources and services. There's always the quest for profit and subsidizing private gain with the public infrastructure. And so one of the latest fronts in the capitalists going after everything public is education, which is, you know, as everyone I'm sure agrees, is one of the most basic resources being privatized. Mm-hmm. It's something that is a right and a necessity, and what it is now being made into is a cash cow for a growing industry that includes for-profit schools, textbook publishers, educational testing firms, test preparation outfits like Kaplan and the Princeton Review, and computer and software manufacturers like Microsoft and Friends. So here in the US, we've seen quality K-12 public schools being dismantled by programs like No Child Left Behind and the Race to the Top. No Child Left Behind under G.W. Bush, and then the continuation of that exact same program, but maybe some worse provisions under Barack Obama. These programs favor for-profit charter schools. They push teaching to the test. They link school funding and teacher pay to test results. And the results, I'm sure a lot of you have heard and read, are devastating to our public schools. So that's been going on for quite some time. Now the corporations are focusing their attention on higher education, where I have experience working as a teacher for many years. The funds are being cut to public higher education, that is in this state, the community colleges, the CSU, Cal State University system, and the UC system. And that means student access to colleges is being limited. The people behind these cuts and these quote-unquote reforms, I'd like to call them deforms in public education, are foundations that are corporate foundations, like the Lumina Foundation. The Lumina Foundation comes from Sally Mae, and Sally Mae was the government program of student loans that actually makes billions of dollars for the government every year. And so with some of this excess money they made, they established the Lumina Foundation, which is behind these kind of bad initiatives that I'm going to be talking about. The Gates Foundation, Bill and Melinda, the Rappaport Family Foundation, Ford Foundation, Haas Foundation. All of these are behind the effort, and others like Wells Fargo Bank and Kaiser Foundation, etc. So I'm going to talk about my experience as a chemistry professor at City College of San Francisco, and as a witness to and activist against the attempts to dismantle the California community colleges, because the attack on our college really reveals the attack that's being carried out by the whole system on the whole system of California community colleges. But since the attacks on public education are not only happening in this country, they are a global phenomenon, I'm also going to be talking about the recent battle of teachers in Mexico to defend their schools and communities. So first, for the fight at City College of San Francisco. City College of San Francisco is one of the oldest community colleges in the state. It started, I think, in 1935, something like that. It has 85,000 students. Well, it did have 85,000 students back when I was starting to do this working against the corporatization. We're probably down around 80,000 now. We have a very large non-credit division and adult. You know, in a lot of counties, adult ed is handled by the K-12 system. In our county, somehow it got linked up with the community college. So we offer a lot of non-credit courses. We have a huge ESL, English as a second language department, due to the large immigrant population in San Francisco. And so we provide the most training for learning English, for people's first experience learning English in San Francisco. And a lot of those courses are non-credit, meaning they're free. The New York Times listed City College as one of the top 12 community colleges in the United States in 2007. I've been teaching there since 1987 when I started as a part-time instructor. Then I got full-time by 1990, and I've been full-time as a member of the faculty there since that time. And it's actually pretty, I mean, I think community colleges in general are pretty wonderful. If you really like teaching, you like education and seeing people learn, they're one of the most amazing places to teach, actually. And, I've learned a lot from teaching there from my students. It's very inspiring. And so to see the system being attacked is, a lot of us take it rather personally and politically, of course, because it is political, but, on a personal level, it's very upsetting. So the way we got into the situation we're in right now is that there were huge state cuts in the colleges, in the community colleges, as well as UC and CSU, starting in 2008, thanks to the Wall Street fiasco, which cuts funding in states. I mean, when all that money was being sent, by the federal government to bail out Wall Street, education was one of the things that got the short end of the stick. Our college managed to avoid many cuts to classes and layoffs during that time by using reserve funds. This went against the expectations of the statewide community college chancellor's office. What they wanted is for colleges to cut classes, which most of them did. Then we had, the reason we were able to keep classes is we had a homegrown chancellor who had, for 30-some years, taught at City College, came up to the ranks as a psychology professor, an African-American man. And he was the one that said, well, the reserve is there to preserve things and serve the community, and that's what we did. But he would tell a lot of people, I've talked to people I work with and fighting to save City College, they said, well, they talked to him during that period and said, yeah, well, we're managing to hold strong. He said, but there are people in Sacramento who would like to see us go down and take us down. Mm-hmm. So he had to retire in 2012 with a brain tumor. So it was their opportunity then to swoop in and put their allies into place in our college as administrators. So the corporate types started coming on board about a year and a half ago. So their plan to chip away at our college was given a big boost when last summer, 2012, we were put on the most severe sanction by the accrediting agency for community colleges here in California, which is called the Accrediting Agency for Community and Junior Colleges, ACCJC. So you'll be hearing me refer to that acronym quite a bit in this talk. And this was a shock in some ways to us because City College had never received a sanction of any type before from that agency. And so we went from having no sanction ever to having the absolute worst sanction called show cause. And under show cause, what that means is show cause as to why you should not lose your accreditation. You are so bad that we're thinking about shutting you down. So what is this really all about? I mean, it's, as I said, we were rated as one of the top community colleges just a few years before that. And what it is the ACCJC, this accrediting agency, is being used as a tool to force cuts on California community colleges. Its area that it covers is California, Hawaii, and the Pacific Islands. So the same accrediting agency is across all of those. So whatever's happening in City College can be used as a precedent to do the same kind of thing to other colleges. So if we lose, well, we have to win, I should put it in positive. If we win, we can help defend all community colleges, and that's what we're trying to do. That agency is giving sanctions at a much higher rate in California than other accrediting agencies across the U.S. For example, 37% of community colleges in California in a recent 5-year period were given sanctions by this agency, whereas in the rest of the country, similar agencies accrediting community colleges sanction only were from 0 to 6% of colleges. So it's a 6 times or more sanction rate that the ACCJC is carrying out in California. The agency itself has links to the Lumina Foundation, which I explained before is basically an advocate of the student loan industry. So they take money from Lumina and then they go and accredit schools. So obviously there's a conflict of interest there. They don't see it that way though. So they are for a model where community colleges are exclusively for preparing students for transfer to four-year schools and for technical job training. As an example, I would say in our college, what happened is after we got the sanction, our board of trustees, which is elected just like you have your board of trustees of Los Angeles Community College just elected here, they voted to take out of so these people are bullies, this ACCJC, and our trustees were actually acceding to their demands. They took out of our mission statement lifelong learning, which was part of our mission statement. They took also cultural enrichment, because those are things that are not a priority anymore, all right? So the ACC... Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because we're a majority people of color college, and I think most community colleges are. The ACCJC acknowledges that the educational quality and student success services at City College are top-notch. They even said that in the report. But what they dinged us on was administrative issues and governments having a low reserve, which I explained. We had to use a reserve to keep the services for the community, but they don't like that. And these were the kind of things. So it's all on administration that we are being told that we probably should be closed down because our administration is so inept. So as our elected trustees started buckling under the pressure to scale back our college and its mission, as I just explained, a small group of students were organizing to defend the college against cuts and against the unwarranted sanctions that I mentioned. I worked with them because there was really no faculty group that was doing anything at this point. The faculty were frustrated, but the only outlets for putting up some opposition to this attack were the Academic Senate, which is an elected faculty body that every college has, and the Faculty Union, the American Federation of Teachers. 2121 is our local number, which the union was focusing on passing, instead of fighting all this, they were focusing on passing a parcel tax to get more funding for the college. And they acted like, oh, if we just get more funding, this will all go away. Right? But that was a big mistake. That's all explained. So working with my comrades in the Freedom Socialist Party and also in Radical Women, I called on campus for meetings of faculty and staff to brainstorm. Last December, I said, let's just get together. We put flyers out. I said, let's brainstorm as to what we should do. So what this ended up in is we started a coalition of faculty, staff, students, and the community, which we felt was necessary to stop the corporate agenda of downsizing that's being pushed by the new administration and the accrediting agency. So we formed what we call the SAVE CCSF, or Save City College of San Francisco Coalition. We organized demonstrations and sit-ins. We put out petitions for people to sign.